Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, today's ink, I have none of. No more. But, it's a Diamine ink, so when you get it in a big bottle, it'll be in an 80 milliliter glass bottle like this. Or when you get it in a 30 milliliter bottle, it'll be in a plastic bottle like this. Or you'll get it in cartridges like I did. This was the only cartridge I had, because I have tried this ink before on many occasions and knew I did not like it, but thought it would be worthy of a test, so I only bought one more. All the tests were done in this Faber-Castell LOOM with a medium nib, and like I'd say most Faber-Castells, was a little on the wet side. Let's check out the chromatography for Diamine's quote-unquote Maroon. Just drop that. It's pink. Yeah, it's all kinds of pink. Not really much water resistance, as you can see where the original drop was. Most of it just absolutely flees. It's got this brown up at the top. I did another one towards the end when I didn't mind wasting what was left in the cartridge. So I put more down on the chromatography paper, and you can see still really just flees from water. Just pink into more pink into more pink into almost brown up at the top. Now, why does this bother me? First of all, because as I've said in previous reviews, I don't like pink, but also because Maroon, as it's supposed to be, is not pink. It's a very dark red, almost like a deep scarlet that almost hints at brown, because the word for maroon comes from the French, Italian, and Greek word for chestnuts. Chestnuts are not pink. I am personally offended by this ink. But, as I say in the reviews, still a perfectly good ink. Just not to my taste. Anyways, 9 seconds to dry. Decent shading. As you can see, ranting. No bleed, feather, spread, no sheen. Really not a great water test, as the chromatography sort of hinted at. Most of it is gone. Some of it still remains in places. No bleed, feather, spread. Next is Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter, where there's just more pink. 9 seconds to dry. Again, decent shading, decent flow, decent ranting. No bleeding, feathering, or spread, no sheen, some shading. Again, absolutely flees from water. There's really not much left, and it dyed the page, but yeah, no bleed, feather, spread. So next is Tomoe River Paper, where it's so pink. But 12 seconds to dry, decent shading, and as we can see in the scrubby, still no sheen. So this is not a sheeny ink. Never really has been in my experience. Yeah, and as you would expect on Tomoe River, no bleed, feather, spread. And like is often the case with Tomoe River, not a great water test. This paper loves to let ink just slide away when you add more water, and here it certainly did that. It dyed the page. If you had to, you could recover some of that, but the camera is making it just a bit darker than it normally is. Not much echo. Some, but I mean, this is extremely thin paper. Next is 20-pound copier paper, where, there, let's find it. It exploded. Look at how broad that line got. It absolutely, the spread was enormous. It was really bad, and there was a lot of feathering there. As you can see, there is no shading left. Took 4 seconds to dry. Really not a good pen, paper, and ink combo. I said there's shading, but no good shading, because where it's darkest, that means there's the most ink that's pooled there, and that's where the feathering and exploding happens. Water test, dyed the page, a lot of it washed away, but there is a lot of feathering and a lot of exploding there, so. But the bleed was not as bad as I would have anticipated from a wet medium. It's mostly just spread and explode. But there are some spots all throughout, but it wasn't absolutely seeping through. Next is Mead Notebook Paper, where, just to show how awful this copier paper must be, Mead outperformed it, which is just embarrassing. 4 seconds to dry. Here you do see some shading. There is some bleed, feather, and spread, but it could all be worse. There's a decent amount of echo all throughout, but the real bleed is only really at the edge. Yeah, it's, like I said, it's uneven and patchy, which makes me think that the bleeding, feathering, and spreading mostly stem from the poor quality control of the paper. Water test, as we would expect, is pretty bad. It dyed the page a lot. The paper had the paper itself had a violent reaction to being introduced to water. It exploded and feathered. And lastly is Moleskine paper, but this is my freak Moleskine paper that is well behaved. So take these results with a grain of salt. 7 seconds to dry. Here you do see some shading. Here I say it looks like a weak red trying to pass for a dark pink. And I rant about inconsistency of moly paper. No bleed, feather, spread, no sheen. That is really gone. The camera is making several adjustments here. But dyed the page, feathered a bit. So there you go. There's Diamine's Maroon. This is not maroon, this is pink. Okay, I'm going to stop ranting now. Perfectly good ink. For your consideration from the Triple N Network. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.